We are live for Missouri Tigers Live. Let's go, baby. These are the weeks you live for if you're a college football fan. Welcome to Missouri Tigers Live. My name is Zach Ramirez, here like I am every week, bringing you Missouri Tiger football talk as the Missouri Tigers look at the number 14 Missouri Tigers play host to the number 8 Alabama Crimson Tide. While you guys are here, like and subscribe. Guys, the voice of college football, I've been doing this for a few years now. It's amazing how far this platform has come. We have merch. We have so many different opportunities now, so many different channels, so many different just things that we can do that we have not been able to do. Oops, didn't mean to hit that one. I meant to hit that one. You can go here. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. So many different teams, so many different – it's incredible. But like and subscribe, guys. Spread the wealth. I mean, look, if Mizzou does the thing Saturday, we're going to have a lot of fun. So, we'll get kind of more into the implications of this game, kind of what this could mean for this Mizzou football program with a W. But this is Missouri Tigers Live, and we're here live every Monday. Alabama fans, if any of you find this, we're here live every Monday. If you want to hear more about a conference foe, maybe you don't play too much. We've played what now? Actually, this is the third time in 5 years we've played. 6 years. I do have this co-host. She doesn't really like being on camera, but she decided to jump up on me. This is Aria. Let you down, baby girl. Spread if you do know Mizzou fans who want to have a conversation, who want to talk Tigers, this is the place to do it, man. There's a lot of good Mizzou outlets out there, but I think I'm hopefully growing into one that's certainly knowledgeable and at the very least knows what they're talking about when it comes to the Missouri football Tigers. This is episode 43. Hard to believe we've been doing it for this long. We started doing this last year. I came over from the Alabama channel, and I'm just not a super been a super fun time. So, alrighty, let's get into it, man. It's Alabama week. You have to be excited for this. Like, this is what these types of programs, if you're a Mizzou fan, this is the type of game you should live for. Look, if you're an Alabama fan, Gabe Overpower Mizzou wrote a thing about this. I would like to extrapolate more. If you're an Alabama fan, if you're an Oklahoma fan, if you're a Texas fan, whoever, this isn't even the biggest game for Alabama this month. That'd probably be Tennessee. So I understand, look at Missouri, this is their Super Bowl. No, this is legitimately Mizzou's Super Bowl. There's a lot of implications if you win this game. You're the Missouri Tigers, man. I've said on here a bajillion times, and we're going to talk more about kind of the national narrative, right? And kind of what's happening nationally that basically, if not now, when. But it's Alabama week. You live for these moments, man. You're not a power program. You're an up and coming program. I think Mizzou's doing a really nice job over the last few years. You're still trying to establish this, and here comes the program that's run college football for 16 to 17 years, basically since 2008. They're coming to your building. I wish the stadium had been completed last year, but it is what it is. They're coming to your building, 11 a.m. kickoff. Joe Tessitore is going to be on the call on ESPN or on ABC, whatever. Look, man, this is what you dream about. It sucks that the game's at 11. That was predetermined before the season, but that place is going to be nuts. It's going to be fun. We'll see what Mizzou has to offer. Look, this has not been a fun time for Mizzou playing Alabama the last several years, and this is going to kind of all build into my narrative here. Last year, Mizzou really struggled, and then they go to Alabama. Alabama struggled. They were coming off a loss to Tennessee, and you go in there and Drew 6-0 basically right before halftime, and then Jam Miller runs one in, and Bama puts on the brakes, and you just get killed. But I give Mizzou a lot of credit. They hung in there for the first half with Drew Pine at quarterback. Like you have to give them a little credit there. The previous time they played was 2020. The score was 38-19. Actually, the closest point differential in any of these games, but it wasn't close. I mean, I believe it was 28-0. I've got the hang on. It was 28-3. Mizzou did hit a 27-yard field goal. Eli, why are you kicking? I don't know. I don't remember the context. And then it was 35-3 at one point. Mizzou scored a few garbage day touchdowns, and including a touchdown on the last play of the game, a 7-yard run from Connor Bazelak. And, 38-19, but that's the closest margin. These two teams played, of course, in 2018. That was Drew Lock's final year at Mizzou, and Alabama was a flying freaking death machine that year until the national championship game. They go to Bama, and they were missing their two top wideouts. So I don't blame them too much, but Jalen Knox caught a touchdown and it was like, it's 13-10, like after a quarter, like you're not getting embarrassed. And they only lost 39-10. And I was in such a spot with Mizzou football at that point where I was like, look, I was worried like 65-17 or something. So, hey, good on you. And then you got some of the lean years. Mizzou really avoided Alabama. They didn't make the SEC championship game. 2014, they did make the SEC championship game. And they played. And this is the only time, and I've said this a few times, I want to double check. Yes, this is the only time that Mizzou-Bama has been a one-score game in the fourth quarter. And it was for one play, because on the first play of the fourth quarter, Christian Jones caught a 6-yard pass, and they went up 28-13, and it was over. That game, if you're a Bama fan, I think you remember just Shane Ray getting kicked out for hitting Blake Sims, kind of an iffy call to kick him out, but it is what it is. Like, Mizzou wasn't going to win the game if Shane Ray was still there. And freaking Matty Mock just chucking it up. Hoping to get something going there, but it just didn't. And then in 2012, I was at the game in 2012. Mizzou's first year in the SEC, they had no hopes of competing. They returned a kickoff. It was 42-10, which that was cool. But I think it was the second play of the game, if I remember right. If I remember right, I believe like they stuffed whoever it was on first down, and I think it was Eddie Lacy, and then on second down he busted like a 73-yard run. Yeah, and it was 28-0. Marcus Murphy returns a kick. It becomes 28-10, but yeah, no. None of the games have been close. They've all been really one-sided for Alabama. So the first thing is first, man, like beyond winning the game. And Eli does play to win these games. I think, you cannot get run off the field. You just can't. And there is that worry. Like you've seen, Bama is a team that can win a national title. We've seen this now. Like we know how good they are. You cannot get run off the field. If it happens, everything you've built up for is just null and void. Now, I think there's three ways this game can go. I think Bama could blow Mizzou out. I think Bama could win close. I think Mizzou could win close. I get any situation where Mizzou beats Alabama by more than a score. Or like maybe like a late put away score, but like there's no way like this game's over before the fourth quarter if it's a Mizzou win. I think we'll get into the keys here, but I just don't think that that's possible at the talent level that Alabama has. Going through, It's the biggest home game. I tweeted it out. It's the biggest home game since 2013 when Mizzou hosted Texas A&M. If you want to say 2014 when they hosted Arkansas to win the SEC East, I think I don't agree because we all knew what was going to happen that next week. Like, it was super cool that they won the SEC East. Like, it was fun. I was at that game. I stormed the field. But I don't think that game, like, there was nothing to play for. Some people say 2023 against LSU. Again, I disagree. That season, if it were even a dream season, which that ended up being for the Tigers, even if you win that game, it's still going to come down to the game at Georgia. You weren't going to make the playoff unless you won at Georgia. With the 12-team playoff, with what's kind of happened around the country, we'll get into it later, but Texas and Penn State basically removing themselves from the playoff conversation. This is the biggest home game since that night, because that 2013 Mizzou team could have won the SEC. They ended up losing Auburn, but they were in a one-score game. It was a dynamite back and forth, awesome football game. Weird, no defense SEC game. Don't normally see that. One of those. This is what you play for, man. Like a win, and we'll get into it in the implications. A win here, and you are firmly in the playoff conversation. Like right now, you're kind of teetering it. We're kind of waiting to see them play a team that, look, Kansas might not make a bowl. South Carolina might not make a bowl. Don't really, and UMass isn't going to make a bowl. So Louisiana bye. So you really haven't played at a great team yet. I know Bama fans are tweeting out like 109th in strength of schedule so far. And it's going to ramp up for Mizzou. But the implications here are, if you win this game, you're 6-0. You still have Mississippi State, who's good. Like, look, Mississippi State hung really tough in Kyle Field for about 3 quarters. Texas A&M's just talent advantage took over. You should be able to beat them at home. You play Arkansas. Arkansas is a disaster. That gets you to 8. You just got to go 2-2 in your other ones. At OU, at Auburn, at Vandy, and Texas A&M at home. Now, the thing that's fun with this is, yes, this is the biggest game since 2013. But you win it, that Texas A&M game has a chance to become the biggest game since Week 7 against Alabama. And you have a bye week before that game too. The implications for this one are huge. I mean, it might be the biggest game in college football this week in terms of playoff hopes. If the loser of this game is going to have a really tough time. Like, look, Oregon, Indiana has higher rated teams. Like, Oregon's is a national championship contender. Indiana is probably better than they were last year. But if you look at those teams' schedules, just because of how the Big Ten is kind of layered, like the Big Ten at the top is probably the best team in the country, best conference, especially Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana is really, really good. The SEC is just dynamic. How many SEC teams are kind of competing for a playoff spot right now? You have Mizzou, obviously. You have Mizzou and Alabama in this one. You have LSU, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, Tennessee. Vandy's still there, man. Like, Vandy has a loss to Alabama. And I'm missing somebody, and I don't want to disrespect. Oh, Texas. Okay, so Texas A&M, Oklahoma, LSU, Mizzou, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Vandy, and I'm missing somebody. There's like 9 teams, though, and the SEC might get 6 spots. Look, a win here, and you're in a really good spot to make the playoff. And and we'll talk more about Texas and Penn State later when I go into the kind of my notes from other games. If Mizzou, like last year was kind of the if not when now when year, so it's kind of unfair to say this, I think, because last year I thought was kind of that year, but it feels like this year with Mizzou. 2 teams, everybody booked to the playoff. Like I don't care smart, dumb, whatever. We all booked Penn State and Texas to the playoff. We looked at Penn State and Texas' schedule. They're like, all right, they'll get through a 10-2. Make the playoff. Those two teams are out. The Big Ten has 3 awesome teams and maybe gets a 4th, but I would not highly bet on it. Like, what if Michigan, does really well, whatever, or USC? There's a chance the SEC gets 6. 3 from the Big Ten, 6 from the SEC, 1 ACC, 1 Big 12, or even 5. If not now for Mizzou, when? Before the season, it was like, oh, the schedule. Well, the schedule looks tougher now. Auburn is competent. I know Jackson Arnold stinks. We all kind of thought he might. But that's going to be a tough place to play, and it's a night game. Vanderbilt, extremely competent. Oklahoma, good football team. Mississippi State, way better than we thought. Texas A&M, even better than we thought. And we all thought, I think Texas A&M was going to be a pretty good football team. So if not when for this football team? That's what's on the line this weekend. This is the first time Mizzou's played Alabama, and I legit thought there was a chance. I've seen, like, last year, healthy Mizzou going into Bryant-Denny, like, sure, like, you could talk yourself into it, I guess. But I would not have been very confident that the Missouri, like last week's Vanderbilt team. I've seen these plucky upstart programs walk into Mississippi State when they had Dak, these like plucky teams that are like, oh, we can do this. And then they go in and they're just like, all right, you're not the better team. Like, cool. You get them at home. You're 5-0. You're coming off a bye. Bama's coming off a tough 2-week run. Now, since the last time Mizzou played, we've gotten 2 data points on Alabama, and I talked about that in my post game for the UMass game. We've gotten 2 more data points for Alabama. On the good and bad for that, because for Mizzou, those 2 data points didn't really go the way you probably want. But my phone's not charging. But they're coming off a tough 2-week stretch. Now they got to go to your place, and next week they have a road game against Tennessee, or not a road game, but they have a revenge game against Tennessee. If not now, when? If you're not going to win it this year, you're not going to beat them this year. You don't play them for a few years or a couple years. When are you going to do it? Hello, Miss Kitty. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Getting into the game individually, the keys to the game. 1, I don't know why. That came out weird. I don't know why Vanderbilt refused to run the ball with their running backs. They broke a big one and then just stopped. Alexander's not the best running back in the world. I understand that. But they gave it to him 4 times, 76 yards. Pavia ran at 12 for 58. You're probably going to see Bo run it less than that because they're going to give the ball to Hardy a lot more. But if you look back at previous Alabama games, come on, load for me. Like the Georgia game, for instance, like even down big at points in that game, Georgia stayed consistent running the football. And Georgia has not been a good team that much either. But Chauncey Bowens, 12 carries for 119 yards. Nate Frazier, 4 for 30. Even Gunner was 5 for 22. Like, they were able to run the football. Despite at one point being down 17-7. They went down 2 scores. And were down 2 scores in the second half. 33 carries for 227 yards. Georgia can do it. Georgia's O-line, obviously, a little bit more talented. No real news on Caden Green. You know, there's some people that think maybe that he'll play. Maybe he won't play. Like he might play this week. We'll see. I haven't heard anything from Eli, obviously, about it. But you have to run the damn football for one of two reasons. One, you hold on to it's just your best way of moving the football. I suspect they're going to make Bo. Bo's going to have to make a few throws this game. I suspect if Mizzou wants to win this, they're going to have to probably hold the football for 35 to 36 or 33 to 35 minutes. You can't let this Alabama passing attack just kind of sit on the field. Let me see. What did Wisconsin run the ball with any kind of effectiveness? 34 carries, 92 yards, but that's Wisconsin. Like Wisconsin's hot garbage. So whether it's Roberts, whether it's Davis, who probably won't get a ton of carries or any carries, but whether it's Bo, whether it's Coleman, whether it's obviously the leading rusher in the country in Ahmad Hardy, this team has to run the football, and you have to run it effectively. And when it doesn't look like it's being effective, you have to keep running the football. You need to keep this Bama offense on the sideline. Like Ahmad Hardy needs to go for like $140 in this game. And if he does, Mizzou's going to have a lot of success. The second thing is, again, I'm not going to say turnovers. Mizzou probably could use a forced turnover. The thing I'm confident with Mizzou in is they're going to stuff the run. This Alabama run game has just not been good. Jam Miller, 38 carries, 182 yards for a little under 5 yards a carry. He's only played in 2 games. Kevin Riley, 38 for 167. Richard Young, 19 for 48. Ty Simpson can scoot a little bit, but he's, not anything great. I don't think this Alabama offensive line is anything special. What I'm curious about, what you have to, you have to limit their run game. Mizzou's done a really good job of that for a few weeks now against teams that have been able to run the football. South Carolina, they just completely shut it down. Kansas, they completely shut it down. So you're going to have to continue that. And then defensively, you have to limit explosives. The thing is, Alabama's going to hit them. Ty Simpson has been playing like the best quarterback in the country since that Florida State game. He just has been. He's been awesome. And again, in that Florida State game, we've talked about it. I don't think he was bad. I don't think he was like misreading or he just didn't know what to do. I think he was just a beat late. He's completing 70% of his passes. He's leading the conference in passing, 13 touchdowns, 1 pick, and his 1 pick, the Vanderbilt guys should have batted it down. It didn't end up mattering. Vandy scored anyway. But and leading the SEC QB rate. I'm curious to see because Georgia – I think the Vanderbilt defense is okay. I don't think Alabama has seen 2 pass rushers, maybe even 3 with Darius Smith, like Mizzou is going to bring at them from the defensive end position. I don't have the updated stats, but Damon Wilson going into this weekend had more pressures by himself than the Georgia defensive ends. I'm curious to see how Ty Simpson handles that. They're going to bring Khalil Jacobs. But the thing is, when you bring Khalil Jacobs, you're leaving these guys, you're leaving Pride and Norwood and Hall one-on-one on the outside. You have to limit explosives. Now, through a few games, South Carolina, when they've played the 2 legit passing offenses, Kansas and South Carolina, these teams have been able to get explosives whenever the hell they feel like it. That cannot happen against Alabama. Jeremy Bernard, 25 catches, 392 yards, 5 touchdowns. Ryan Williams, 21 catches, 336 yards. Isaiah Horton, 18 catches for 236 yards. Those are 3 better receivers than Mizzou has on their roster. Maybe Kevin Coleman's better than Horton. Maybe. But certainly not better than Ryan Williams or Jeremy Bernard. Those guys are both going to be top half, if not first-round draft picks. You have to limit explosives. Vandy, for the most part, did a pretty good job. Bama's going to hit them. Ty Simpson, Ryan Williams, Bernard, they're too good for them not to hit a few. And Kalen DeBoer's too good for them not to hit some explosives. but you have to limit them. They can't come at will. If you get a 3rd and 8, you can't be giving up a first down every freaking time. If you have a 3rd and 37, you can't give up a 34-yard pass. Just things like that. You have to limit the explosives that Alabama hits on you, and that's if you want to win this football game. I do think Mizzou can win it if Bama's kind of being able to march up and down the field. Like Bama, I would guarantee you right now will score 24 points, bare minimum. Can you get to 27? Maybe. My biggest concern is Mizzou's going to go down. My biggest concerns are the field goal kicking game, Mizzou going on like a 13-play, 70-yard drive, scoring a touchdown. Bama comes back in 2 plays, scores. And then Mizzou goes out there, punts, and Bama goes on a drive. You have to be consistently moving the ball, and you have to limit explosives. This defense can't be on the field all that much, or especially these corners and these safeties who have just been getting cooked at a moment's notice against good teams. And as part of running the football for the key, staying out of negative situations, staying out of 3rd and 7, staying out of 3rd and 8. Alabama doesn't have the dudes they used to. They're missing a couple linebackers. They did a really nice job against Vanderbilt for the most part. Vanderbilt, a couple red zone turnovers in that game maybe turns out a little differently. I thought Alabama was clearly the better team, so I don't think it would have mattered too much, but in terms of result, but certainly looks better for Mizzou. I think you have to hold on to the football. You have to keep yourself in manageable situations, and you have to limit explosives. The third thing, look, Kalen DeBoer record on the road as the head coach at Alabama, not great. They went into Georgia this year and won, and look, I love Faroe, but Georgia's a better atmosphere than Mizzou. But they've gone into Vanderbilt and lost. They went to Oklahoma and lost. They went to Tennessee and lost. They went to Florida State and lost. This just hasn't been a good road football team. It's got to be a game in the 4th. I mean, obviously, those kind of keys are for the whole game. You got to run the football. You got to limit explosives, in the 4th quarter, whatever. Obviously, Mizzou's not going to win if it's not a game in the 4th, but this has to not just, even if win or lose, this has to be a game in the 4th quarter. You have to be down 1 score or down 2 scores with the ball and move. You know what I mean? Mizzou's down 27-17, but they've got the ball in the 13-yard line before, you know what I'm saying? As we head into the 4th, they're about to punch it in or whatever. This has to be a football game. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot get waxed by Alabama. If you get waxed, your season's over. You lose, look, it's going to be tough, obviously, because you only got one more mulligan to really make it. You still got to go to Auburn. You still got to go to Vandy. You still got to go to OU. And still got to play Texas A&M. But this has to be a 4-quarter game. I know I'm excited for it. It should be really fun. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Joe Tessitore is going to be on the call. My prediction, not to be a negative Nelly here, I do think Alabama's going to win this football game. Before the season, I had it 31-20 Alabama. I'm probably not going to move that off too much. 34-24, whatever. Alabama wins. I think it's a good, fun football game. I think Alabama keeps establishing, look, what happened in Doak Campbell, what happened in Tallahassee. Look, first game for our new quarterback on the road. It was a tough look. It was a tough place. He was overwhelmed by the moment, and he's been awesome since. And Ty Simpson keeps vaulting himself into the Heisman race. It's one of those things, man, where it's I don't care how good Mizzou is. I don't care how in and out Alabama looks. I just am not going to pick Mizzou to beat Alabama, especially when every game for the last 13 years has just been an absolute bloodletting from the Crimson Tide over the Tigers. Now, like I said earlier, if that was ever going to change, this is the year. This is the year. Like Mizzou fans, like that place has got to be an extraordinary atmosphere. That level you had it for Kansas, there's another level, and you need to get it to that level. Alabama probably not going to be too intimidated by the environment. Like they played at Georgia and at Doak Campbell. Look, I love Faroe, but let's not pretend those places are anything close. But you have a chance to do something special on Saturday, Mizzou. Like, I want to see it. I do pick Alabama to win, 34-24. But, man, am I really excited. Like, I think you'll know a quarter in how this game's going to go. Like, at least if it's going to be a game or not. You know, if it's 10-0 Bama coming out of the first, like, it's like, oh, God, not again. But I'm really excited for this football game, man. I think the world of Eli as a coach. I think he's gotten so much better as an in-game coach over the last few years compared to what he was. I think this is an Alabama team that is certainly gettable. But you have to this, like, if not now, when? You know, you can look at other like Mizzou football and basketball like teams, like 2007 for a natty, kind of felt like, if not this team, when? And are still, but a win here, you vault yourself not only into the SEC, into the playoff title race, but into the broader like SEC title race. So that's just kind of that's my notes on Alabama, Missouri. It should be fun, guys. I'm really looking forward to this. But we'll go moving on into SEC notes. Not a busy week in the SEC. We kind of talked about Alabama, Vanderbilt a little bit. I thought Alabama was the better team just kind of throughout. Although I did, Vanderbilt doesn't have 2 red zone turnovers. I still think Alabama wins the game. But I think you're feeling a little better about Mizzou's chances. If you watch that game, Vanderbilt was right there for a lot of the game, and it was in Tuscaloosa. So, again, if not now, when? We talked about Mississippi State. I thought they hung tough, man, for a little while there. Like, they just could not get anything going offensively because Mike Elko's really good. Again, I constantly will praise Mike Elko because he's the guy I won at Mizzou. When we all thought Eli was going to get fired. Yeah, man. It was 14-3 in the fourth quarter. They hung tough. They just could not get anything going with Blake Shapen offensively. Georgia covered to 20.5 against Kentucky. Weird. They don't normally cover against Kentucky. And then the big one was Florida ends Texas's season. Like, Texas' season's over. Sure. If they win out, hypothetically, yes. They could potentially make the playoff. But what are your hopes that Texas beats OU, which they're favorite over this weekend, which is strange, beats OU, beats at Mississippi State, beats Texas A&M, and beats Georgia? They have 2 losses. Texas's season, again, a team we all thought was kind of a lock for the playoff. It's over. And we're heading into week 7. So, when coming into the season, if you're an SEC team, I think you all thought Texas was going to make it. I know I certainly did. So that, 3-4 spots left for these other teams now, and one of them is probably going to be Georgia. One of them is probably going to go to Bama, or just something like along those lines. Now it's wide open, man. It's really going to come down to schedule and who wins some of these head-to-heads. I like I said, if Mizzou wins Saturday, I'll come on this post game and we will start talking about who Mizzou fans you need to be rooting for, Mizzou fans what game you need to be watching, who you need to be rooting to lose, who you need to be rooting to win in certain matchups. Like, if Mizzou wins Saturday, you should probably root for USC to beat Michigan. But no, it's too early. None of that matters because if you lose to Bama, like, it doesn't matter. You just need to keep winning football games. But yeah, man, the SEC kind of a slow slate, but this week is going to be fun. You have Alabama, Mizzou, Washington State, Ole Miss, kind of a random game. Oklahoma, Texas, and Red River. Texas, a slight favorite. I don't quite understand why, but I think it's one of those games where because of how bad Texas has looked offensively and how good Oklahoma is defensively, and how Michael Hawkins is not great. Like he could be next year or whenever he takes over. It's going to be a one-score game, which leads to random nonsense, a drop punt, a pick, a fumble recovery, deciding it. Tennessee is going to get revenge on Arkansas. Tennessee's kind of chugging along. We got Bama next week. Tennessee, man, look, they got OU, they got Alabama, they play Vanderbilt. It's going to be tough for them, but it's a good offense. They can't afford to drop a stupid one. Because they still got OU, they still got to go to Florida, they still got to play Vandy, and they obviously still got to play Bama. So, Florida was last week more about Texas or more about Florida? We'll find out when they go to College Station. Auburn hosting Georgia is interesting, and it's a game Mizzou fans should watch. Because LSU, South Carolina, sure, I think you kind of hoping South Carolina wins that game. But you play Auburn next week. If Auburn falls to 3-3, what's their motivation level? Their season's basically over. If Auburn wins, then Georgia all of a sudden goes into desperation mode. It's an interesting football game. I think you just probably want to watch Auburn. Again, unless Mizzou wins, If Mizzou wins, I think we'll talk about who you should be rooting for. Mizzou loses, it doesn't matter. So it's an interesting week, and then no matter what, just beat South Carolina. You should root for South Carolina. You should root for South Carolina the rest of the schedule because I think they play Bama, they play LSU, they play Ole Miss, they play Oklahoma. There's a bunch of teams that South Carolina plays that you're kind of hoping are in the SEC race with you. So, but it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. This is one of those college football weeks that's going to be great. And guess what? For the first time in a while, it feels like Mizzou's going to be part of the reason. It's going to be awesome. Mizzou is part of the experience for why this weekend is going to be a great college football weekend. Kind of moving on to the national notes. Kind of the same conversation I just had about with Texas. Insert Penn State. They drop a stupid one. Usually under Franklin, they haven't dropped the stupid one. They usually just lose to the teams that are better. Which, that's all right. That happens. I have to co-host Ollie trying to make an appearance. But they lost a stupid one, and now their season's over because they're not going to win at Ohio State. That puts them at 3 losses. Shoot, they might lose at Iowa. They might lose in Indiana. So that's another team that everyone's they're going to make the playoff. I don't know if they're going to win a natty, but they're going to make the playoff. Yeah, it's over. Crazy. Texas Tech's rolling. Iowa State drops a stupid one. Not stupid. They were missing a bunch of guys. Sorry. It's losing at Cincy. They were an underdog in that game. That's fine. Michigan still doesn't look great. Notre Dame, not great. Notre Dame just should not make the playoff if they go 10-2, unless USC turns out to be really, really good. Let's see what else. Oh, and Miami might be the best team in the country. Look, I know Ohio State should stay number one. They beat Texas. They beat Washington, who came back from 20-0 down against Maryland. They go on the road to Illinois this week. Illinois at home is a different beast. Luke Altmaier and Hank Beatty are playing some really, really good football. That'll definitely be on TV too. I'm excited for that one. It's a 14.5-point spread. We'll see where that one goes. Other games of note nationally this week, Pitt, Florida State. How does Florida State respond to their season kind of being ended? They're out of the ACC title hunt. I don't think they're really going to be in the national championship playoff hunt. And now you got Pitt, who started a true freshman quarterback last week. What do they look like? It's an 11 a.m. game. It's going to be a little sleepy. Indiana at Oregon. I don't think it's as big as Mizzou Bama just because I don't think the loser of this game is just in deep. Like if Bama loses to Mizzou, they're in deep trouble because they got to play Oklahoma. They got to go to they got to host Oklahoma. They got to go play Tennessee. They got to play LSU. They still got to play Auburn. Like I think they're in deep trouble to make the playoff. And Mizzou obviously too. I don't think the loser of Indiana Oregon's in that bad of a shape. Like Oregon plays, I think Washington. They got to play USC, but like other than that, it's not too daunting. Indiana's got to play Penn State on the road. Like you lose that one, fine, but you're still 10-2. I don't think the loser of that game is impacted the same way as Alabama Mizzou. But the other thing for Indiana, the way this could impact Indiana, last year we saw Indiana play two outstanding football teams. We saw them play the two teams that played for the Natty, and in neither game did they look like they belonged on the same field. That's not to say they didn't belong in the playoff because they murdered everybody else. But they have to. That game has to be competitive. Elsewhere in the country, look, for Mizzou's sake, Kansas beating Texas Tech wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I'm just going to throw that out there. Michigan, USC, borderline playoff elimination game. USC still has to play Oregon and Notre Dame on the road. Michigan still has to play Ohio State, obviously. They got to play Washington. They lose. You know, the winner of this game has a path. The loser, as the fourth Big Ten team, the loser in some deep trouble. BYU will probably finally play a football team that's going to go to a bowl game. And Arizona State, Utah is fun. That's a fun football game if you like the Pac-12. But that's kind of it for national notes. So, guys, it's Alabama week. Like, I'm not here to give a hype video. You know, I'm not that guy. But for Missouri Tigers Live, man, like and subscribe. It's Alabama week. We will be here live after the game. I don't want to say when because if it's an upsetting loss or a crazy win, like I might come on a little bit later to like let my emotions calm down. It's going to be fun. SEC Nation's there. Like there's a lot of hoopla around this game. Like I couldn't tell even that 23 game against LSU. Like I'm just trying to think of recent big games. There wasn't the hoopla around that game because it was like LSU had already lost a couple games. Tennessee, they got CBS, but I think that was a week's late. And like you weren't gonna win the SEC East. Like there was nothing. Like you were playing for a New Year's Six bowl, which was awesome, but like it's not quite the same. Georgia on the road. I don't think anybody thought you were going to win that game, so kind of whatever. Last year, yeah, no. Like last year was awful. Like this is for the first time in a long time. There's legit craziness in Columbia about a football game. Like this is a top 15 matchup. This is the first top 15 matchup Mizzou's had since the 70s. In the AP poll, I believe in the college football poll in 2023. Tennessee and Mizzou were 13-14. But as far as the AP poll is concerned, because we don't have the playoff poll yet, this is the first one in a long time. There's legitimate hope for Mizzou to win this football game. You know what game that reminds me of? Is the Oklahoma game in 2010. Mizzou got off to a really nice start. They really hadn't beaten anybody at that point. And this isn't a night game, unfortunately. But now you got a big traditional power that has kind of kicked your ass for a long time. Like OU before 2010, like 08, that Big 12 title game, beat them down. 07 Big 12 title game, beat them down. 07 regular season, beat them. 06, beat them. Like just constantly beating you. And now you have Alabama coming to town, you know, with a chance to really be something if you win this football game. I am excited for it. I don't know when I'm going to be live after the game. It's going to kind of depend on how the game goes. You know, if it's kind of the game I predicted it to be, like a 34-24 Bama win, I'll probably be live in like 15 minutes. Just you know, kind of have my thoughts and go from there. But guys, if you're not excited for this, I mean, what? I don't think you're a fan of the sport, man. It's the most important game Mizzou's had in 12 years. You know, I don't think there's anything putting past that. Like you have to win this game for a bunch of reasons. or you don't have to win this game, but like a win here would be the biggest Mizzou football win since that win over Texas A&M, and from like a national perspective, probably since 2010 Oklahoma. Maybe 07 Kansas, quite honestly. This game can if a Mizzou win could completely change the perspective of this Missouri Tigers program, where it goes from, oh, it's a cute story. Mizzou's like a fun program. They've won 10 games the last couple of years. They might win 10 again this year. To, oh, this team can make the playoff. And look, if you beat Bama, you should beat Arkansas. You should beat Mississippi State. You're what, then 4-0 in conference? Like, you're right in the SEC title picture. So you guys enjoy it. Enjoy the week. I know a bunch of you guys are Chiefs fans. I'm sure you're watching some of this Chiefs crap, watching baseball. I do like that we have a lot to watch this week because I am nervous. Like, I'm so excited for this football game. It's been a while since I've had like this late into the season, the excitement. Because like last year at this point, they'd already gotten murdered by Texas A&M. I'm always excited to watch Mizzou football, but like this game is different, man. Like this game is just different. Like 2023 against Georgia, like, okay, but you didn't like have a ton of confidence you were going to win that football game. And they competed really hard in that game. Mizzou does compete really hard in a lot of these games. The only way, especially at home. We'll see what happens, man. Like it's goosebumpingly exciting. But this was Missouri Tigers Live. Thank you all for tuning in. Share, like, subscribe, guys. Like, this is a place for Mizzou fans. Come hang out, be a part of the live chat. It makes my life a lot easier. I'll do this. I could do this by myself. I just went 45 minutes. Nobody in chat, unfortunately. It's on me. That's okay. And I think we had a really good conversation here. But you can catch me on Twitter at PsychoZ50. I will be live after the game Saturday. Bama fans, Jackson, you watch this, man. Good luck. It's going to be a lot of fun. MIZ, baby. Like, let's freaking go. Get the W. Compete. This is a chance for Mizzou to move up in the national stage. And to me, that's what these Saturdays are for. That's what we have. So MIZ, you guys all have a great week. I'm, again, thankful we have baseball stuff to get us through this. But, yeah, MIZ, and have a great